Credopard Cast. Welcome to the Credopard Cast, the podcast for all interested in sales, recruitment and service. Available on Amazon Music, Spotify, and many other platforms.
And here we go with our today's topic, number 50, a short celebration. In September 2020, we put the first episode of our Credopard Cast online. More than a year and 49 episodes later, I'm blown away by the success this little idea created. As a format meant for a relatively small target group, our podcast is not doing too badly. More than a couple of dozens of subscribers from 4 continents, thousands of downloads, and a decent number of comments and questions are very good reasons for me doing 3 things. Expressing my gratitude, respond questions, and announce some improvements. When starting the Credopard Cast, this must be said, I was quite skeptical about the whole thing of doing a podcast. There were a lot of question marks related to this project. Would anybody stand my horrible voice? Were my team and I capable of creating an audience that would consist of more people than just our family and friends? How on earth should we find our topics for all the episodes? And what would be the feedback? Our leadership team was quite skeptical about the entire project, and it was less the brilliance of my arguments that kept the project alive after a disappointing start than my perseverance, or as others might have called it, stubbornness. Since I always hated the best of episodes and never understood why TV programs wasted their audience time by celebrating themselves, I would like to keep today's episode short, and instead of celebrating the greatness and brilliance of this outstanding program, take it as an opportunity to answer some questions we didn't have the time to respond so far. But before doing so, I would like to thank all of you for subscribing, liking and commenting. Besides my kids, who recommended recording it all on music cassettes for burying them in the garden so that the product would eventually look like its content, rotten, the overwhelming majority of feedback received was positive and encouraging. Thank you all for this. I also received some excellent proposals for improving our format, and I'm glad to say that my team and I didn't hesitate to put some of these ideas into action. But before sharing with you what might change, let me answer some of the questions received concerning the technical setting of the Credopard Cast.
What kind of equipment is needed for producing a format such as the Credopard Cast?
It is surprisingly little needed to record a decent quality nowadays. The only piece of hardware we had to purchase was a good microphone. We are using a freeware called Audacity, the link is found in the description, for recording and cutting. A little bit of practice and you're good to go.
Who is Polly?
Polly, sometimes it is still noticeable, is a virtual collaborator of the Credopard Cast. But I think she should speak for herself. Polly, would you mind?
Thanks, Thomas. Actually, Polly exists twice. Once as a German voice created by a program called Speechelo from Blaster, and by Amazon AWS, where the English voice is coming from. For the German and the English version, an AI is working in the background, ensuring a natural sound and seamless pronunciation. While the Amazon AWS version is for free, Blaster will cost you some €50 for purchasing it. Before buying it, I recommend going for AWS, as some of Speechelo's elements simply use the same program. Both software offers several languages besides German and English, French, Portuguese, Spanish, and a lot more. Please find the link in the description of our today's episode.
Thanks a lot, Polly. Pleasure to have you in the team.
Where are all the topics are coming from? You discuss every week?
Life often creates the best stories, which also applies to our podcast. Very often it handles current events of our professional practice. Some topics are happy accidents, such as our episode about the Mjøsap Tower in Norway, created after running into a video about this wooden skyscraper on YouTube. The process for creating an episode is predominantly spontaneous. Once a topic is identified, the redaction, a team of changing colleagues from our organization, is sitting together, discussing it and signing off the script, which finally is spoken by me, not because I think I would be the best fitting person for doing so, but because all the others still refusing to do so. These were the top 3 questions, and I hope you found the answers helpful. Hopefully, you might also find the following improvements somehow positive, as most of them are coming from regular listeners of our little format. As of today, there is a new intro for our podcast. In particular, when listening to more than just one episode, a 1-minute intro might be too long. Therefore, we produced a new jingle, the one you already heard. It was brought to our attention that it might be a bit confusing to receive the German and the English version when downloading our episode. Therefore, we started to separate both streams by creating a channel solely for the English edition. While the Credopard Cast remains a particular means of communication for decision makers within the healthcare industry, we have noticed that many of our listeners are not solely engaged in that particular industry. Therefore, we have rebranded our program to address those who are not necessarily working within pharma or medical devices. Further on, the Credopard Cast is meant as a source of information for recruitment, sales and contract sales services, and we will start advertising it also on our Facebook side. Independent of all these changes and improvements, our mission statement remains the same: sharing insights about possible money traps, providing you with information from behind the curtain and letting you participate in our daily work. Special thanks to our colleagues from competing companies who apparently love to learn about our perspective and incorporate ideas shared on this channel. We're pleased to see that some of the ideas spread here became part of their service offer too, helping us as an industry improving our service and increase customer satisfaction. And Novaris, we're a good sport, appreciating your interest. So that's it for today's issue of the Credopard Cast. Our topic next week, the Taskmaster. Sometimes TV can teach you a thing or two. I wish you all the very best. Stay healthy and remember, Credopard, we do this for you.